And welcome. Nice to have you join us on News at 5 live on Channels Television. I'm Dominic Kiwiwa, and these are the stories and reports we're tracking at the moment. The Senate has confirmed the appointment of Professor Joash Amupitan as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, following an extensive screening session during plenary today. Professor Amupitan's confirmation came after over 2 hours of questioning by senators who pressed him on how he plans to restore credibility to Nigeria's electoral process and implement meaningful reforms within the commission. The 58-year-old professor of law was nominated by President Bola Tinubu and received formal endorsement from the National Council of State last week. Professor Amupitan becomes the 6th substantive chairman of INEC, succeeding Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who has officially concluded his tenure as INEC boss. The guiding principle for INEC leadership under Professor Joash Amupitan will be transparency and fairness in the conduct of elections. Now, efforts to amend the 2022 Electoral Act suffered a setback in the Senate following heated debates that stalled progress on the proposed changes. The deliberation, led by Senator Simon Lalong, chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, met strong resistance during plenary, forcing the chamber to suspend consideration of the bill. Senate President Godswill Akpabio revisited his 2019 electoral loss, alleging injustice during the process and calling out former Akwa Ibom resident electoral commissioner Mike Igini, whom he accused of misconduct. The Senate resolved to step down further discussions on the amendment for more consultation among lawmakers. And now to security matters. The military has announced the arrest of a commander of the indigenous people of Biafra identified as Gentle and 8 other accomplices in Imo and Ebonyi states. Confirming the arrest at a news conference in Abuja, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Marcus Kangie, says the arrested IPOB and ESN commander has been on the wanted list of the military due to his terrorist activities in the southeast.
It is another bi-weekly briefing of the Defense Media Operations as journalists converge on the conference room of the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. The Director of Defense Media Operations begins the news conference as he reels out the successes recorded by the military in the last 2 weeks.
During the period under review, sustained operational momentum by denying Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Jazz terrorists freedom of action in the Northeast region. Our ground forces, in conjunction with air component and hybrid forces, as well as local security groups, conducted aggressive operations across the theater. During the period, our troops eliminated several terrorists and arrested their informants and logistics suppliers. They also recovered some weapons and dismantled terrorist networks. Their efforts paved ways for the safe return of displaced persons and unimpeded farming activities.
A major breakthrough, according to the military, is the arrest of a wanted commander of the indigenous people.
The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is set to stand trial as his illness is not life-threatening. That's according to the outcome of an assessment on the health status of the IPOB leader by a medical panel set up by the president of the Nigerian Medical Association on the order of the Federal High Court in Abuja. It follows conflicting medical reports represented by the defense and the prosecution. Based on the information contained in the report and in the absence of objection from lawyers to the parties, Justice James Omotosho said the court was convinced that the defendant could proceed with the trial. He subsequently granted the defendant 6 consecutive days beginning from October 23rd to open and close his defense. The IPOB leader is currently being prosecuted by the federal government on charges relating to alleged terrorism. Meanwhile, a handful of protesters wearing branded T-shirts and carrying placards with photographs of victims of the unrest in the southeast occupy the gate of the National Assembly in Abuja. calling on the federal government to listen to calls requesting the release of the IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. They are calling the leadership of the National Assembly and President Bola Tinubu not to yield to pressure to discontinue the ongoing trial of the IPOB leader. The protest follows calls, especially from opposition leaders, for the release of Mr. Kanu, who is being prosecuted by the Department of State Services on a 7-count charge bordering on his alleged involvement in terrorism activities. He has remained in the custody of the DSS since his rearrest in Kenya and subsequent extradition to Nigeria in June 2021.
Our place has been locked down for the past 4 years. Our mothers are being flogged in the marketplace in order to force them to abide to the sit-at-home order given by this IPOB. Our children are being chased in their school places. Visitors no longer come to our place. Businesses are down. So we are in solidarity with each other, with the entire Igbo nation, to say no to this kind of deception. We don't want it anymore. We don't want this kind of deception. Nnamdi Kanu and his IPOB and ES, they do not represent the Igbos. They do not represent the Igbos. The Igbos, the young people, the business society in Igbo land, we are crying out to the federal government. Don't release this young man. Let the rule of law be followed. Let him go through the normal processes. He's not standing for the Igbos. He's not speaking for the Igbos. The Igbos are law-abiding in this country. We do businesses everywhere. His activities has caused pain. He has caused hatred. He has caused a lot of bigotry in our society. This is not what we stand for.
Justice Yusuf Halilu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has adjourned hearing in a 5.5 billion naira alleged defamation suit instituted against the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project by 2 operatives of the Department of State Service to November 12. Justice Yusuf adjourned hearing in the suit following the absence of SERAP's lawyer in court. The 2 DSS operatives, Sarah John and Gabriel Ogunleye, had filed the action against SERAP on the grounds that the organization defamed them in a media publication. Specifically, the 2 claimants alleged that SERAP defamed them, that they unlawfully invaded their office, thereby putting their reputation as law-abiding security operatives in jeopardy. They're asking the courts to order SERAP to pay the sum of 5.5 billion naira as compensation for damages they suffered. At Thursday's proceedings, SERAP's lawyer Ebun Adegborua, a senior advocate of Nigeria, wrote a letter to the court informing it that he would not be able to attend proceeding as he had a matter at the Court of Appeal in Lagos and asked for an adjournment till November 12. Counsel to the claimants, Akinlolu Kehinde, did not oppose the request for an adjournment. Justice Yusuf Halilu subsequently fixed November 12 for SERAP to defend itself in the suit. The Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, says the federal government is intensifying efforts to accelerate the judicial process to ensure speedy trials for inmates awaiting judgment. Dr. Tunji-Ojo, who was accompanied by the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Afamosigwe, made this known during an unscheduled inspection visit to the Medium Security Custodial Center in Kuje, Abuja. He noted that the Ministry of Interior is working closely with the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation to close the gaps causing delays in the conviction process. On his part, the NBA president requested access to comprehensive data on inmates awaiting trial to identify pending cases and facilitate necessary legal actions.
Decided to come and see the living condition of inmates, to see and interact with the inmates directly, see what they are going through, listen to them, hear directly from the inmates, even without the CJ. As you know, the CJ only came towards the end of the visit because we wanted to see their well-being. We wanted to see the medical facility. We wanted to see their skill acquisition centers. We wanted to see them actually practicing their skills. And we actually wanted to see the Open University and other facilities. And I think we're very pleased that the story that we are seeing today, I'm happy Mr. President is here, it's quite different from the general perception.
I had a private conversation, on the sideline conversation with the CG about getting data of persons who are waiting trial, whether there are cases pending against them, so that how we'll see how the NBA pro bono units and lawyers can also come in to move for their release. And then also for persons who may have spent longer time than they would spend if they were convicted, to also see the process we can put in place to get their release. And something struck me, seeing a man who has been condemned to death, teaching over 30 persons tailoring skills. For me, that's rehabilitation. That shows that the essence of a correctional facility is being achieved.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, has described the current wave of falsehoods branding Nigeria as a genocide destination, deliberate and a malicious campaign to incite panic and fracture on the Nigerian national unity. The minister was speaking at the Progressive Governors Summit for All Progressives Congress State Commissioners for Information in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. He revealed time has come where communication must consistently reflect strategic direction, highlighting the policies that bear positive outcomes with clarity.
Commissioners of information in states controlled by the All Progressives Congress gather for a summit to discuss national development as well as the falsehood in information dissemination. The meeting is holding ahead of plans by the federal government to begin campaign against falsehood in information dissemination.
Distinguished commissioners, the erroneous and misinformed labeling of our nation is a test to our collective resolve. When you hear that Nigeria is a destination for Christian genocide or any kind of genocide for that matter, it should test our collective resolve for all of us to come together and challenge this narrative and put the truth out there so that the world could see. You are the stewards of our truth. Let us move forward with courage and strategic clarity. Let us ensure that the story of Nigeria is defined not by the lies of our detractors, but by our unwavering pursuit of unity and progress and peace that we all desire to build our great country.
We have launched the PGF Value Orientation Campaign to ignite mindset renewal that our nation needs. One that transforms citizens from passive observers into active partners in shaping the progress of our dear country.
As for the Borno State government, there is a 25-year recovery and development plan from the Boko Haram insurgency.
This assembly presents a timely opportunity to reflect upon and affirm our collective endorsement of the Borno State 25-year development plan and 10-year strategic transformation initiative. This is far-sighted blueprint charts a sustainable pathway toward lasting security, inclusive growth, and enduring prosperity.
The meeting is expected to develop a communique on the strategies to address the rising falsehood in information dissemination.
You're watching the news at 5 Live on Channels Television. Still ahead, the Lagos State government announces a 10% discount on Echo rice. That's in the world of business when we get back. Welcome back. The Special Advisor on Policy Communication to President Bola Tinubu, Daniel Buala, has stated the administration's determination to ensure that the benefits of its policy and economic reforms must resonate in the daily lives of Nigerians. Speaking in Abuja, where he met with some progressive support groups in Abuja, the discussions focused on the administration's economic restructuring, which Mr. Buala described as yielding visible dividends across sectors. The special advisor said President Tinubu understands and believes that support groups, especially the youths, also need to be part of the governance, electioneering process and the progress of the administration.
is to thank the Nigerian citizens for the faith and confidence that they have demonstrated in the president over the last 2 years as the president restructured the economy. We are seeing the fruits, and because we are talking to ourselves, we didn't want to go deep to start talking about the area, but when we prepare everybody and we go to the field, you will see across all platforms, economy, security, job creation, education, infrastructure, agriculture, they are going to be, as they have been doing, carriers of this same message. We are moving away from renewed hope to recovery, and that recovery must be felt in their own lives. We're told you can't be a messenger of a message that has not impacted your life. So some of them who need to be put in places, that is the feedback we get to the government. And thankfully, President Bola Tinubu is one who cares for the progress of people. He never promises and fails. If he gives you a promise, he will fulfill that. And so we keep sending the message of the president, thanking them and thanking the Nigerian people for their faith and confidence in government. And going forward, we will see more of the reward of what the administration is all about.
A massive crowd gathered at the Mangu Local Government Secretariat to endorse Plateau State's Governor Caleb Mutfwang for a second term in office. The event, attended by political stakeholders, youth groups and community leaders, highlighted the governor's achievements in peace building, infrastructure development and inclusive governance. Our correspondent, Presida Bang, reports.
Residents of Mangu come out in their numbers to show solidarity with Governor Caleb Mutfwang and his bid for a second term in office, citing his developmental strides and peace-building efforts as reasons he deserves another term in 2027. General Manager of the Plateau Main Market, Magna Yusuf, describes the governor as a visionary leader who has touched lives across the state through inclusive governance and people-oriented projects.
Keep faith in Governor Caleb Mutfwang, continue to reach out, continue to call on the rest of Plateau State to believe in the time is now administration and to believe in the capacity of His Excellency, Governor Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang, to take us to the plateau of our dreams.
Governor Mutfwang is being praised in particular for prioritizing peaceful coexistence, rebuilding communities affected by crisis, and implementing programs that promote economic growth and social stability.
That His Excellency has done well on the plateau. The man is celebrated across the state, not only in Plateau but the whole of Nigeria. Why? Because he has demonstrated capacity to lead. His tremendous developmental strides got across all the gamuts of the society.
Also speaking at the event, one of the strongest PDP supporters in the state, Matthew Dutton, reiterated his readiness to mobilize across wards and polling units to ensure the governor's victory come 2027.
As you all know, this governor, what he's doing in Plateau State, is a person who other governors supposed to emulate him and do same in their various states.
The organizers charged the gathering to mobilize Plateau residents to come out en masse and vote for Governor Mutfwang in 2027 general elections, stressing that his second term will consolidate the gains already achieved. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the last elections, Mr. Peter Obi, is playing politics with every issue because of the 2027 elections. Mr. Wike, who spoke at the commissioning of the ILS Mabushi District Road, expressed displeasure over Mr. Peter Obi's comments after visiting a primary school in the Kapwa area of Lugbe in the FCT, asserting that developments can only happen in phases.
The newly constructed ILS 11 Mabushi District Road off the Ahmadu Bello Highway in the nation's capital is set for commissioning. Before commissioning the project, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike expresses displeasure over recent political developments.
Some people, because of politics, for example, I hear one of the social media presidential candidates went to one of the local authority area schools I was saying the government has abandoned public schools. In particular, his name is Mr. PITOB. It is not everything you must play politics. But let me say this. PITOB, you were governor for 8 years in Anambra State. If you have finished all the jobs in 8 years, nobody will be talking about developing Anambra by now. 8 years. Instead of developing Anambra, you took the money and put in the bank you have interest, Fidelity Bank. And why did you have problem with your successor? Anambra State had problems. The money was there to develop Anambra State. You only prefer profit and put the money for the development of Anambra State in the bank you have the largest share. So profit will be coming and Anambra will be suffering.
In her remarks, the Minister of State charged residents of the area to make judicious use of the infrastructure.
I will also want you to be assured that this project is for your prosperity. It's for you to ease your movement and also economic growth in the area. So we urge you to come together and take a collective ownership of this project and protect it.
The road, which was completed in 6 months, will give easy access to residents of the Esther Bali and Kes Udeze streets in the area. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
On business news, the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has announced a 10% discount on the price of Echo rice as part of efforts to cushion the impact of rising food costs and make staple foods more affordable for residents. The governor made the announcement during a visit to the Imota rice mill, where he reiterated his administration's commitment to food security and support for local production. He says the price reduction would take effect immediately across all authorized sales outlets in the state. Governor Sanwo-Olu also adds that the initiative aligns with Lagos State's broader plan to stabilize food prices through efficient supply chain management and direct-to-consumer distribution. As Nigeria joins the world to celebrate this year's World Food Day, players in the production value chain believe the priority for the country would be to implement already known solutions to abundant food supply. The Director of Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at Olam Agri, Ade Adefoko, says dealing with smuggling at the country's borders should be the focus at this time.
A strategic grain reserve usually takes care of 1 month, 2 months. But why can't you have a strategic grain reserve that can take care of 6, 9 months and up to a year? So that's what I think we should work on. The bulk of production made right now from the hinterland is there, but it's rotting away. So what we need to do is to preserve them. We're the largest producer of cassava. We're the largest producer of yam. We're the largest producer of cocoyam. So if you're the largest producers of these things and you cannot adequately store them for the rainy day, then you have a problem. So nobody's going to help you with that. So World Bank, FAO saying all the things they're saying with respect to data that they have and they're churning out, yes, it's okay. But we have to do what we have to do, which is to make sure that we preserve what we... You know, we at Olam, we always pride ourselves as operating from farm to fork, from seed to shelf. I mean, we're the largest producer of rice in the country. We have a high stock of rice in the country as we speak. But there's a problem right now we have. It's smuggling. Smuggling undermines us. And it's undermining us and undermining us for the last 5, 6, 7 months. It's not my duty to police the borders. I will do the best I can by producing rice and making sure that I'm competitive in my pricing. But if the rice that comes in through smuggling undermines me and makes my rice uncompetitive, what can I do?
And it's a wrap up the news at 5 on Channels Television. I'm Dominic Iwibu. Thank you for watching. Up next is The World Today.